Good morning. It is officially day 7. It's the 7th day of these vlogs with me and my co-star Annie. It is August 22nd at 5:03 in the morning. And you know what? My 5-year-old has already been up for an hour. My 5-year-old, when he was a baby, we still do, but also when he was a baby, we called him Party Baby because there were plenty of random nights where he would just wake up and he wouldn't go back to sleep, and he was always in a really good mood, so it's kind of hard to complain about it. But it's still like 4 o'clock in the morning, and even if Party Baby doesn't want to sleep because he would rather be using the trampoline upstairs, I still have to sleep. So Party Baby is a mixed blessing. Now that he's 5, we've kind of told him, if you're awake between the hours of 4 and 6, we'll set you up at your laptop so you can play games if you absolutely cannot go back to sleep, and we'll make you a little breakfast, and then we are going back to sleep. And I feel like this makes me a bad parent, but I swear to God, I was trying to talk this kid into laying down and closing his eyes and listening to me help him relax his body and breathe deep, and he's just like, no! As soon as you try and stop the party, he turns into a demon. Oh, I tried. I'll keep trying. It's almost 6 years. I still don't feel equipped for this child. And I am the meanest parent in the world for trying to help him sleep so his body can grow big and strong. I really can't talk. My husband, even before I spent a good long while trying to put Party Baby back to sleep, my husband was trying to put Party Baby back to sleep. And I took over because I had a nightmare and couldn't go back to sleep. So the nightmare that I had, I started a business venture, or I tried to start a business venture in like 2015 with a friend at the time. And we had such a major personality clash that I basically spent 6 months solid in massive panic attacks and got like suicidal, which sounds very melodramatic, but like when you're having like relentless panic attacks, it's like my little squirrel brain just couldn't figure out what to do. And that was the first time I got hospitalized for mental illness. Anyway, I had a bit of a nightmare about her. And so I'm up. He's up. I sent Daddy back to bed. So it's been 7 days, as I said. This started out as I want to get more comfortable taking video and posting on YouTube and stuff. Even though my videos aren't very complicated, I have actually learned a lot. I hadn't been regularly using YouTube as a platform in ever. Of course I've always popped on and watched videos on YouTube. The site has evolved radically since I last posted videos 7 years ago, and so I've become a lot more familiar with the interface. It's fairly slick. I have also learned a lot about using Adobe Premiere Pro CC, which is the program that I'm using to do editing and noise correction, because another thing that I've learned this week is that my noise is garbage. My house is so noisy. And there's no amount of noise correction in this world that is going to keep you from hearing my French bulldog if he decides it's yapping time, which it usually is yapping time. Also, she makes a lot of noise. But the biggest and most consistent problem is probably, it's obviously the fans. So, because of course I live in a desert, and so we've got fans all over the house just to help move air. We've got a 2-story house, and like usually the first story is a refrigerator, and then upstairs is like a proofing oven drawer thing. And so we have to have fans all around to help circulate that air. And that noise is terrible too. And I can't really turn those off because then everyone's bedrooms are up here, and then they swelter to death. Or I turn the AC way up and I help burn the planet down. Anyway, my house is not a good environment for recording audio. This is a really useful lesson for me to learn, because I had been trying to record me reading the Mr. Poe books as an audiobook, and trying to get it audiobooks, in order to publish them on like Audible and stuff, they have to have good recording quality, like decent recording quality. And no matter how I've tried this week, there have been absolute limitations to how good I can get my audio, because my house is chaos at all times, 24/7. If it's not barking dogs and blowing fans, then it's little fingernails scrabbling across the floor. It's this thing rubbing on my microphone. It's my children yelling because they need something. Even in the middle of the night, they might just start yelling because they need something. So I think that I should probably take Record Mr. Poe as audiobooks that I'm going to publish off of my to-do list for now, because as much as I've learned from doing these, I haven't learned enough to do that in this environment. I'm not sure anybody could. So I might just record Mr. Poe and just put it on YouTube. I really want people to be able to listen to the books, and since Mr. Poe books are so short, it would honestly never make sense for me to pay a professional audiobook producer. I just can't afford it. Audiobooks are so expensive to produce. I spend $1,500 to $2,000 to $2,500. I spend literally thousands of dollars for every single audiobook I have out. That's expensive, except for the Magecraft series. The first 3 of those are in audio, and those were published by Tantor. And so they paid for publishing. So, another thing that I've learned this week is that, like a parrot with a mirror, I can't look away from myself and stop preening. Like, I spend most of these videos just staring at myself on my computer screen here. Look, it's Sara! You can't see what I'm seeing. And then I notice my hair. And then I notice my glasses. And then I notice and I just like start fussing with everything. That's not very professional. But there's also a lot of dead spaces and ums and ahs. So for these next 7 videos, which the first 7 only took me 8 days. That's not bad. But I'm notoriously bad at following through. So we'll see how many videos I make, how many days it takes me to get through the next 7. But my goal for the next 7 is twofold. I want to trim out dead space. I want to get better at I want to try editing for the rhythm of the video, and I also want to stop preening. I need to look at my webcam, I need to look at that little blue light, I need to talk to you directly, and I need to not stare at myself like a parrot enamored with her reflection, and preen. So those are my goals for this week. I mean, in regards to making video. I may also start recording Mr. Poe for YouTube, but I'm going to have to decide how I want to do that. Like, so that adds the complication, and it's not necessarily complication, that adds the opportunity of a visual element that audiobooks don't. I don't think anybody wants to watch my face while I read a book. I don't think that anybody even wants to watch my face while I'm just here talking. Like, I just don't have anything else to show you. I would make Annie just sit in front of the camera while I talk if I could. Annie. Hi, baby. But for lack of I guess the formatting of vlogging kind of requires the sort of intimacy of a face. I don't think that reading Mr. Poe would. Maybe I'll just take a lot of footage of my cat sleeping around the house and put my voice over it. Anyway, there's decisions to be made there. I might start on that too, depending on how apocalyptic the world is this week. I would also in future weeks like to start writing down at least topics for me to talk about so I stay on topic and I don't wander. But that's in the future, editing for brevity so that I'm not putting out 20-minute videos and rhythm so that you don't have to like sit there watching me touch my face and say, like, that's awkward. We'll stop doing as much of that. That's my goal anyway. And we'll see how that goes. So I'm still working on my high fantasy novel. I made some really, really good progress. I feel like I did some really awesome stuff with the prologue, which is funny. I've spent so much time working on it and picking at it, and it's like only 3,500 words. For perspective, with the descent verse, a 3,500 word chapter, I could usually sit down and write in a day if I'm doing well. And if I'm not doing well, it might take a couple days of writing and a quick edit. But I have spent a lot of time writing and rewriting the prologue and the introduction for this book because I'm still trying to find it. But I feel like I'm pretty happy with where the prologue is now. So this is a good time for me to get completely sick of the book and never want to look at it again. It tends to be what's been happening to me. I've always had this thing where I get oversaturated on a project about 2/3 of the way through the book, and I really benefit from taking a week or so off to work on something else because I don't like looking at my books and feeling disgusted by them, especially when the poor books haven't done a darn thing wrong. They're all perfectly good books. It's my feelings about them changed through the process. So that was the way it used to happen. But now, since projects are taking me so much longer with my lower attention span and the world being more distracting and kids being around all the time, I'm not hitting that point 2/3 of the way into a book. I'm hitting it like every chapter I write for every book. So it's like painstaking chapter written of high fantasy, worked on for weeks, and I'm like, sick of it. And then painstaking chapter written of contemporary romance, and I'm like, I'm sick of it. Like, forget these hippies and their adorable commune falling in love with people. I don't want any of that. Bah. So I am feeling a bit sick of my fantasy again. So it may be due time for me to get back to my contemporary romance. I sure hope so. I really feel like this book is going to go places. Oh my gosh. Last night I was laying in bed and I had the next Mr. Poe born, fully formed into my mind. I could just imagine almost the entirety of the story. And I'm like, Sarah, really? You just need to finish these 2 books. You've been working on them for a year. You've been working on these books for a year and you've barely made any progress on them. And you want to run off and write another Mr. Poe? You wrote another Mr. Poe in the spring. I guess it's time. I don't know. So tomorrow, I'll see you again, and hopefully my videos will be a little bit better in the sense of less preening. I won't be taking off sweaters randomly. I am going to sit down in front of the camera. I'm not going to fuss with my hair, fuss with my face. I'm going to just look, and then I'm gonna edit a bit more. So I'll see you tomorrow, and for the next week we'll see what else we learn.